Hi students, so I have been thinking about something that we've been talking a lot about, and there's a tension with how we tell stories. And yeah, I'm in a car, don't worry, I'm parked, and it just came to me so strongly, and I was like, well, let me capture the moment because I may not remember it. So I'm saying this to my students and writers about the power of storytelling, but the fact that I see many of us are pushing and trying hard to tell other people's story. We have to stop that. No. Oh yes, we can. Qualitative research allows us to do that. It allows us to do that, but there are many issues within that, because that's why we have so much ethics and conversations around ethics. Because how will you tell somebody's story? How will you handle the story? And this actually conversation this morning came from someone who called me to ask my opinion on something. They saw an article I wrote and they wanted to use part of it, but they said to me, I don't know if I could use part of your story in my article. It would make the article amazing, Dr. Campbell, but I feel like I may be treading on dangerous ground. And I said to her, thank you for thinking like that. Thank you for understanding that I tell my story with a certain background, a certain understanding, because it's mine. You are telling part of that story because it's written. So legally you can copy it, paste it, quote me, you can do that. But sometimes how you take that story and center that story or place that story within your own work, it could further discriminate the person whose story you're telling, further affect, further hurt, further just make it messy. And I'm using these words because, of course, I'm sitting here in the car in the line, and it just popped into me. So the point I want to make is to you, my students, who sometimes you question why we are asking you to be conscious and careful when you are writing about other people, indigenous people, black people. And here is a big thing I want to ask you. Why do sometimes you feel this forceful need to tell their story? Why not tell your story? Why not tell a story of how you are struggling with certain ideas and concepts? Why not tell your story about how you are unlearning certain things? Why not tell your story about how you have come to grow? Why not tell your story about how you have come to change? Don't worry, I'm just in a drive-through line. Why not tell your story about how you are wrestling with your own view and biases? Why not tell your story about how you are understanding white supremacy and racism? And why not tell that story? We're talking a lot about decolonizing education, and that is something we need to learn how to do as a person with power and privilege and white people. There are many stories you can tell. You don't have to always tell a black person's story or forced to tell a LGBTQ person's story or a trans person's story. You have a story to tell. Tell your story. Let's learn how to tell our story. Be vulnerable, be open, be honest. Tell your story, and don't always find the need to tell somebody else's story. Let's work at that.